Okay, the purpose of this video is to show how to trim feet. So this dog doesn't have a ton of hair. He's got a bit grown up because it usually gets trimmed, but I'm going to show you how to safely do it. We normally would use a little trimmer like this. This is only about 50 bucks. What I like about it is that it has a low speed to it. It's nice and quiet. This one's been a couple years old now. Or you can use a safety tip scissor. See how it's blunt on the ends? And these are also a pretty good price for being an actual really good quality scissor, but having the safety tip on them. So if you're using scissors, the important thing to remember about scissors, it has a blunt tip so that it doesn't have little sharp ends to be poking with, but it's not safe to be going in the pads. So if you're going to trim in the pads, only use a trimmer. A blunt tip is good for the hair that's sticking out. So you can carefully, and just not being aware of what you're doing, you're always got it just very small snips on the edge. If the hair is long enough, you can even have a comb there and just cutting what's sticking up. You can keep that foot nice and tight and closed. Make sure this is focusing on there. And it's a very quiet and safe way to handle hair on the feet. To make your scissor last longer, you should have clean, washed out feet that have been rinsed and ideally dried. Now, if you want to actually clean them up, and I'm just putting it against the pad and kind of pushing into the hair. So again, you don't have to go in between the pads. You can just kind of push, just pushing on the edges, kind of following the outside of that toe around a little bit. If they trip a lot, then you can trim off this back stuff that actually hangs over. Now, when you want to trim inside the pad of a foot, you can follow in and just be very light-handed. See how individual toes have these bits of skin? It's very similar to how we have skin right here. So think about when you're shaving in between toes, you're not going to jam it in there. You're going to just very lightly maybe go at an angle and take some out. You want to have a very light hand when you're doing feet. So right here I'm touching the back of the toe, but then I'm just kind of hovering. I'm not actually touching down in there. Same thing from that side. I'm kind of just hovering. I'm using my fingers with my left hand to open this up so I can actually see what I'm doing. Now, it does help that my dog is trained to be good for it because I've never hurt him and I've handled his feet very often. Now, if I actually move the speed I would, because I do this for a living, clean that foot right out. So I'll clean this foot right out so you can actually see what it looks like. And that's the important part, is being familiar with what's actually part of your dog's feet. Some dogs you'll want to clean in here. Depends on how much debris they're bringing in. So there's that. Let's bring it a little bit closer. Not perfect, but it is good enough. So you can find this little Kiss trimmer. Also, these are Yento little safety tip scissors, and these are Showtech safety tip scissors. These can all be found on a Canadian grooming website called CanadianGroomingDistributor.com, and they're very inexpensive. I think this is 50 bucks, and these are maybe 60, and it has free shipping on orders over $100. So that's us all over North America.